Hello guys, welcome to Players Guild. My name is Loki and today we have some exciting deck profiles for you. So I played One Piece TCG locals, the first locals we had in London at our lovely Brotherhood games. We had 58 players, so almost 60 players. Won my first 5 rounds, then I lost against the Flamingo in the finals. I learned a lot from what I did. How I played, how I did. So now, without further ado, I was playing the blue-purple Kaido. So I started on purple Kaido. It's a good deck, but I think the blue-purple is just so much better because you don't have that risk factor. You don't need to draw very specific cards. And I know a lot of people were asking me about the deck profile, about what's in the deck, etc. So I'm going to show the version of the deck I played on that locals on Sunday. I am going to be changing this deck. I did learn a lot, so there might be a different version coming up, but I will also be playing other decks to keep on showing up what decks I think are interesting to play and what decks I think might be something else, something different. I will probably try to get the Flamingo build as well because I think it's a cool deck. Not exactly my play style, but it's a very cool deck. So let's start quickly on what the leader does. So Kaido has 4 health because he's blue-purple, 5000 base power. If he has 1 Dawn attached, during my turn, once per turn, if opponent's character is KO'd, I get to put a Dawn to my cost area inactive. So it ramps me without needing to find Onigashima, and against a lot of aggro decks it's just very useful. Just attach 1 Dawn, attack 6k into their 1-drop or 3-drop or whatever they have, into their 5k in other words. And they just keep on using cards from hand. If they don't, I just get more Dawn. So I think it's a win-win. Of course, I'm playing Kaido, so there is 4 Onigashima in the deck. The card is a bit too good not to run at the moment, but I am planning to cut 2 of them. So I'm planning to run 2 of the Kaidos from Tournament Pack instead of 2 of the Onigashimas, because sometimes I don't really need them early. Sometimes I prefer to draw them a bit later. There's very few matchups where I want it early. Next we're going in, this is going to be a very typical purple stuff. So we have 4 Black Marias and we have 4 Kurozumis. So your good blockers. Maria is not that good against Shanks, but in general those 2 are really good blockers. I do run a total of 16 blockers in this deck at the moment. So those are really good cards. Dropped on early, can block easily, or can be used to aggressively against Zoro. I use them aggressively actually against their 1-drops and 2-drops that they were attacking with. Then I'm running only 2 Who's Who. This is one of the cards that I think I should have increased to 4, because there's a lot of decks that this hits, but my problem is it doesn't have counter power, which makes it very difficult for the defensive, and I would like to see if I can get... Yeah, the problem is that this deck needs to be very slow, very defensive, very reactive. Even the dice rolls that I won, I decided to go second, just because it's better for my deck to go second. And this card, as much as it's good from getting it from live to just play it, to have a threat, it's very peculiar when you're stuck in hand with like 3 or 4 of them and you're playing against, for example, purple Kaido or even the Flamingo. It doesn't hit anything. That's why I'm only running 2. My favorite card in the deck at the moment is X-Drake. Counter for plus 2000, which is amazing. It's essentially a super combo in this game for people who play Dragon Ball. And beside that, when you play him, Dawn -1 and your opponent discards a card from hand of their choice. I had a match against Zoro where they went all in, and I just played 2 of those. When they had 2 cards in hand, I got their 2k combo Sanji, and I got the Luffy that stops blockers. And then I just started dismantling their field. Really good card, really powerful card. And majority of the matches I'm not using it, but when I'm going towards the end of the game, I'm just going to hit you for 1. You get that 1 card in hand, I'll play X-Drake, discard it, and I keep on hitting them. Makes it easier to close in the games because you don't give them that many cards in hand. 4 queen from the starter deck and 2 queen from the set. So the queen from the starter deck is necessary. You do need to draw as many cards as possible in this deck. You need to see your options. You have tons of cards with no counter, so you need to be able to draw and discard and get rid of the cards that are not needed. On the other hand, this queen, I'm only running 2 off. It is useful because it has rush and it gives minus 2k. It can be used either to finish off some games. When they run out of cards in hand, they have no cards to block with, etc. Just play this and attack, or to remove their cards on the board. Late in the game, ramp is not really that necessary for me, so I don't really need to attach anything to my Kaido. I can attach it to queen, for example, and that -1 is not going to hurt me that much. So, because at that point I'm just getting 2 or maybe 3 a turn if I found my Onigashima. If I haven't found, I won multiple games without finding Onigashima, which was also absolutely amazing. Then for my king split, which is going to be very interesting for a lot of people, I run 2 of the 6-drop kings and 1 of the 7-drop. Majority of the time I want to see it only once a game, and because I'm going to be going through the other cards I'm running in here, I do see a lot of cards of my deck. I do get to draw a lot of cards. So if I see it early, I'm happy. If I don't see it early, I still have other options that let me control the board, and majority of the time I control the board with my attacks, so I'm not really bothered by drawing this one. There is specific situations I would like to see it, but as our meta seems to be more of a Doflamingo and Kaido, I think the 6-drop is just a bit better. 7-drop has the advantage it survives against the big boy Kaido, but beside that, I don't see much of an advantage to it. That -2 can hurt sometimes, although in this deck a bit less, so I'm 50-50 with that. And I'm running 2 of the vanilla Fukuro Kujo. 10k counter, but if I need to, it's a very good threat. At 8k for 6. It's something that hits those magic numbers and just attach 1 don to it and they can't counter it, or they need to counter it and something. So I really like this card. It has that good breakpoint for me. And the big boy Kaidos, there's 3 9-drops and 2 10-drops. I wanted to fit 4 9-drops just because it's so strong, but I ended up playing only 3 just because I figured I do need the board wipe from a 10-drop. The game I lost to Doflamingo sadly was because I didn't have any of my draw engine or card selection or anything like that in there. Which means I haven't seen this, I couldn't board wipe, I couldn't grasp the control back from the game. 9-drop very strong for Don -5. I can KO 1 character with cost 6 or less, and then he gets rush. What I do on turn usually is just attach 1 to my leader, 1 don to my leader, then play the big boy Kaido, kill something and they ramp immediately, which means that it changes the cost of this Kaido from -5 to -4. Which means on next turn I still have 8 or even 9 if I have Onigashima, which makes this a really strong play for me. And I can't sadly do something similar with the 10-drop Kaido because he costs 10. So anytime I play 10-drop Kaido, I'm vulnerable, I'm open, because I lose 6 Dawn and then I have no open Dawn. I have no way of ramping open, I have no way of keeping that advantage and keeping defensive. That's why this card scares me. The best time to use it is when your opponent has no cards or very low cards in hand, you just drop it. Your opponent loses all of their characters, and then you hope you can scramble from there. But to do that, I need to be at least 2 or 3 life to feel safe. And the last one for the purple engine is Last Breath. Amazing card, a 1-drop 4k combo for the deck that keeps on ramping that Dawn -1. Doesn't really matter that much. There were situations where I actually wanted my opponent to do like big swings so I could use it, because otherwise I had no point from my ramp. Strong card, really like it, and definitely is going to be staying in. Shame it doesn't have any trigger ability, but I think that would be a bit too much. And now we're going into blue, and I'm going to start with a card I've seen, and I decided that that's why I want to run blue Kaido, because blue Kaido has access to Boa. This is a control deck, so you want to have a lot of cards in hand, but you need to be using your cards to be able to control them. So very often you will end up with 5 or less cards in the hand, which is absolutely amazing for Boa, because I can just play Boa, attach Dom to her, and then anytime she blocks, or when she attacks, if I have 5 or less, I get to draw a card. I can use her to clear up stuff my opponent has, I can use her to defend myself, to draw more cards. One thing I learned very painfully was when I was playing against Doflamingo, that I don't want to play her against Doflamingo because they're running the 7 drop that can bounce it to hand, or they're running Mihawk, which can just spin it down, which makes it a bit worse on the card draw. I would like, against Doflamingo, definitely want to see more of Queen, because Queen is way better there, because even if they spin it or if they put it in my hand, I still got the value, and if they put it in my hand, I get to do the value again. For the event cards, I'm running 4 Desert Spada and 4 Overheat. So Desert Spada gives me card selection, or if it's on the trigger, it gives me the same effect as Queen, so draw 2, discard 1. The card selection is just, I can stop early attack, especially on that turn 3 of the game. If I go second, so my opponent's first attack, I can just stop some attack, look at the top 3 cards of my deck, decide if I want them or not, and then just shift all of them to the bottom if there are no cards I want to see in there. Very often I used to play this and just see 3 dead cards, or shift to the bottom. Won me so many games because I got rid of those dead draws. And then I was running Overheat, mostly because I didn't know what cards are in the blue starter deck. So I didn't know about the counter that lets you draw a card if you have 3 or less cards in hand when you activate it. It's definitely something that I'm going to be thinking about. Overheat I like because it's good against Zoro, it's good against Law, it's good against those decks that keep on spamming small things. But as I was playing in the tournament, I figured that Overheat is actually not that great. The best one is to use it on my own Who's Who against Zoro. But then I didn't see Who's Who against Zoro, so there's a problem with that. On the trigger, it does bounce one of your opponent's characters with 4 or less, with cost 4 or less, but I'm not. I think I went off of this card. It looked way better on the paper because I was expecting way more Luffy, Zoro, Law, and I ended up playing against one kid where it was not that useful, and it was fairly useful because I got to bounce his blocker at the end, but that's about that. And then I was playing against 2 Doflamingos, which mostly play on the 4 drops. I was playing against 2 Kaidos, which again mostly play on 5, 6, 7 drops, 9 drops. Kid it was decent, Zoro it was decent, but again, against Zoro it was again not that great. I would rather, instead of this, have a card that draws cards, just to see more of that card draw, card selection, card rotation. I think that's the strength that the blue brings to Kaido. So you can keep that core control, and then use the blue for utility, and for additional counters, because let's be honest, the purple 2-drop counter is absolute trash. It runs you if you have 2 or less life, which kinda puts you in the mindset, oh, I want to go down to 2 or less, but it doesn't, because it costs 2 and it gives you that card in the rest, it's not that great. If it gave you an active, sure, I would consider it, but it gives it in rest, so I'm not that happy about that card. That's why I decided to go for blue, and I did well. I beat 2 purple Kaidos, I got 2nd place on that locals, again 58 players. I went 5-0, my only loss was against the 1st place, and I was quite happy with that. Shout out to all my opponents in there, and I sincerely hope that we will be able to get sideboarding in this game, because I don't mind best of 1 that much, but I would like to see a sideboard. Sideboarding would be amazing in this game. Best of 1 pre-side, just give us 6 to 8 cards and I will be happy, because that lets me either adjust my events, adjust my kings, adjust my Kaidos. It lets me adjust the deck for the a bit worse matchups. At the same time, I don't feel like I had a bad matchup anywhere with the build I had, so it is difficult. I haven't played enough of the game to understand that yet. So far, I enjoyed the game, and I will be playing more. For the next time we have a tournament, definitely expect another deck profile for whatever I'm going to play, because I'm going to be playing a different deck. There is plans for some gameplay to end up on our channel, so if you guys are into One Piece, click that like, subscribe, let us know what is your favorite deck. Do you think that Blue Purple Kaido is better than Mono Purple Kaido? Or do you think Mono Purple is better than this? Let me know down in the comments, and I'll see you guys in the next video.